Hey folks, thanks for tuning in today. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do a black and gray floral piece, right? Black and gray illustrative. It was a request from a viewer that I do something black and gray, not keep going with the American traditional trend like I have. And so we're just going to test this out and see if folks like this video. So we're going to do a side of the arm piece here, kind of in that elbow gap because I like designing pieces for specific parts of the body because I think it helps with the flow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, so if you want to learn how to design a black and gray floral piece, this video is for you. I'm Clay, the Techie Tattooer. It's time to get to the iPad. All right, folks, so I've just gone ahead and grabbed a few Google image searches of some flowers. We got a peony right here, a couple of different rotations of lilies here, and then some roses that I, like. I think they look good. I like the way the petals are shaped on them. But I think we're actually just going to go for straight up lilies because I think that's going to be an interesting, fun way to make this happen. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these guys. And then we're going to sort of map out what our arm shape is going to be before we really get started. I'm going to go super thick with my syrup pen. Yep, and I'm on a different layer, right? Thank you. And let's see. So if our arm is here, right? Because I can draw. And our upper arm is there, the little tricep muscle, shoulder, right? And if I want my tattoo to be here with, like, let's say the focal point is here, right? And then we've got, like another couple of flowers like this, then something kind of coming up the arm like that, with some little leafy deals. And then something kind of coming down the arm like this with some more little leafy deals. Maybe some background stuff right now. So that's going to be my basic shape for what I'm looking for, right? This is why, thumbnailing is so important and that kind of stuff. Um, yeah, that's about what I'm looking for. I'm going to go ahead and squish those onto one layer. Bring the opacity way down on that because it's just going to be my basic silhouette framing, just so I kind of know what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to go ahead and we're going to grab this pink lily and I'm going to drop the opacity down on it so I can see where it is. And we're going to size it up to kind of be this main flower here, about like that. Yeah, absolutely. And then we're going to take these guys and I'm going to use my freehand tool to cut out, let's say, this piece here. And then I'm going to duplicate it instead of actually cut it. Make it a little bit smaller, put it down right in that gap there in this pink guy. Maybe turn it a little bit more. No, I don't like how evenly those are. Yeah, we're going to leave it coming up like this. Ooh, I don't know, or further down like this. Yeah, we're going to leave it a little bit further down like that, and we'll do some edits and whatnot to make that work right. Gonna go back to here, grab this little sideways facing, almost open lily, swipe down with 3 fingers, wink, duplicate that. Bring this into that gap about there. Yep. And then we're gonna grab the closed lily, duplicate that, make it a little bit smaller actually. Everything that about there. Duplicate it again. So you can either just slide to the left here and then duplicate, because we're duplicating that whole layer. I'm gonna point this off to there and bring this down a bit. Yep, something about there. And then we might even have another one coming down this away. Make it a little bit smaller. There we are. I'm going to take this little closed guy again and duplicate him. Make it smaller. And stick it down here. Not that much smaller, but about there. Because we don't want these guys to line up. We want them to have a nice curve away from each other like that. And so that's pretty good for my basic starting point here. I'm going to drop the opacities down on all of these guys. So yeah, about there on the lily. I may actually go ahead and use my airbrush tool to pull off the hard edges on that. Whoops, wrong layer. Yeah, there we are. Pull off these hard edges so it doesn't stand out so much. There we go. Drop this opacity way down. And you know what? I'm actually gonna go ahead and get rid of this layer. There we are. Cool. Because I already know what my shape is now. I'm pretty good to go on that. I don't really need to check myself anymore. Bring all the opacities fairly far down on these guys. I could take the opacity down on these, but it doesn't really matter. We'll just do that for consistency's sake. And now I'm going to do a little bit of fudging. So lilies are weird. They've got this like, oh, wrong brush. So you go to inking. Inking, where are you? There we are. Technical pen, inking, technical pen, boop. That's got way too much stabilization on it. What did I do there? Stabilization. Oh yeah, I'm at like 60. Forget that. We're going to go down to 30. All right. So lilies have weird, long, kind of ugly leaves, right? I'm not the biggest fan of them, so we may or may not stick with that lily shape for our leaves there. We may go like a more of a classic tattoo style leaf, you know, something kind of like this, or even more neo-traditional where we give it kind of like one of these things, right? Yeah, so we're going to experiment with that. But what I'm really talking about is getting some cute little tattoo vines in. Something kind of like this. That. Yep, and then getting a cute little tattoo vine coming out this way. And I'm calling them tattoo vines because there is nothing in reality that just kind of looks like this, but you will see this in all kinds of tattoos. It just looks really good. There's a, you know, don't fix it if it ain't broke, right? There's some things we do that are just classic tattoo ideas that really do last, and they look like they just look nice. All right, so I like that. I like that. And, you know, yeah, we'll probably end up putting more like sort of neo-traditional leaves coming out of this. Um, okay. Go to our new layer, get our blacks up. I'm already on the technical pen here. And so now we're just going to kind of start tracing, right? But we're going to make decisions as we trace on how much detail to keep in these, because there's no way I'm doing like the water droplets and that kind of stuff, and I probably won't have these whatever those little things are, those little tendrils, be as organic, right? We're probably going to go a little bit more regimented, a little bit more stable. I am going to bring the technical pen, the stabilization up. We're going to go for 60. Why not? I want this to look nice and clean. So as we're doing this, we're not worrying about the micro details, right? Like these little rumples and ridges and stuff like that. We're worried about the overall sizing of the leaves, the flow of the leaves, right? Still communicating that we're talking about a lily, right? But also making sure that even in these sorts of designs, we are using as few lines as possible to communicate our shape. Yep. Right, and this I'm going to give a little bit of a loopy lump thing to bring it in like that, like this. Exactly, it's a little bit more cartoony, a little bit less realistic, but I like that. And then notice how I'm not tracing over the exact vein line here. And that's because I kind of changed that up for what I wanted that to be. You could even erase this out and continue that vein line there. That looks really nice. There we are. Get this leaf in here. And then it's got this little funky whooshy whoop, right, that goes on at the end here. And we're going to sort of want to keep that, but not really. Because we're keeping it, but we're making it our own style. And we're making it nice and bold so it works with the tattoo. So we're going to give it one of those. And this one as well, so that we kind of stay consistent. I'm going to give it a little bit of this. Boop. Give it a little bit of this. And then bring this in like that. Exactly. So it's a little bit more cartoony, right? We're going a little bit bolder, simpler in the overall design, right? We're going to get our last flower in. And notice how warbly this last flower is. Or last petal is. I'm going to say nope. I'm going to bring this way in through here. We're going to keep the style of that petal, though, in the way that it loops around, right? Because we do like this flower. It is pretty. And we just want to figure out how to represent it in a different way. There we are. Actually, I don't like how swoopy that gets that fast. So I'm going to give it a wider taper on it. There we are, much better. We're going to give the same kind of treatment here. Boop. There we are. Okay, that works. All right. Now I'm going to go onto a new layer to figure out how to do these. I don't know what the inside of a flower is called. The pollinators, whatever, right? And so let's see here. We want to get it, they're probably going to be a little bit shorter. And so we're going to pick like negative spaces, right? Like this space here, this space here, this space here, this space here, right? Maybe this space here, right? To kind of show that we want them in there, but we want them each to have their own nice, clean area to sit in. Yep, that's kind of in its own spot. Right, it's touching this a little bit, but it's nice off on its own, still kind of organic. Bring this on through there, through here, right? We're kind of following along this line, right? Breaking it through a good spot in this petal it's behind, so we still get this guy coming out. And then I'm going to flip this one on the upside down there so that it comes out like that. It's not quite big enough, so we're going to angle it just a smidge. There we go. Yep. And then the next one, can I split that difference there and put another one here? Does that make sense? I think it might. Certainly what I drew in on the sketch. Yep. And then the last one, we're going to bring in from here. There we are. I actually do. That does look pretty good. Okay, cool. Oh, I missed a leaf. Wider. Boop, bring it around. Same kind of thing, right? How we're doing that same exact thing, where it's the same set of lines we're using, the same style of loop around, but just with slightly different proportions. There we go. That's all the leaves in there. Okay, cool. Little mistakes, like spitting everywhere. And now we're going to erase out the conflicting lines. There we go, nice and clean. Drop these onto one layer, go to the next flower. This one we're going to fudge with something that it absolutely does not have in reality, but is going to make our tattoo feel nice and finished, where we're going to stick a little butt thing on it like that. This guy's a little bit too long, right? We want to keep it a little bit more going to go more rounded at the tip. There we go. There we go. And then I think I'm actually going to ignore that little trumpet that comes out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're just going to put our last little 6th leaf in like that and leave it empty on the inside, just so that we don't have too much confusing stuff going on in our flower, because it absolutely communicates that it's a lily without those extra details. Same thing, we're going to kind of cheat there where it does not have this, but we're going to go ahead and put it there. Again, you might not want to choose to do that. These are artistic choices I'm making. You might be like, dude, that's not in a flower. Don't be doing that. So yeah, everybody's going to have their own perspective and all that kind of stuff and their own style that they're going to want to go for. In no way is mine necessarily better than yours. I am just making choices. And I'm making those choices because I like the finiteness. I like the way it feels to me. And you can't really see these guys, right? But I'm going to put them in because I like the way it makes it feel more rounded and more dynamic, right? So that's what we're going to do for that lily guy there, that little closed piece. Same kind of thing here where you can see the stem poking out, right? And I am going to draw the stem in because I do like where that's placed. And then I'm going to cheat again and make it not realistic by adding one of these. Then we're going to bring this in. Not worry exactly about copying the exact shape. And I'm curving this one a little bit because it curves along with this design more. And so again, that's just a choice I'm making, because while we are tracing, we're not dependent upon this guy to live our lives too, right? Like this is okay. And then this one, I'm just going to kind of pop a little bit in and out here like that. And then that way it looks like it's turned just a little bit more than this guy, right? So this side is a little bit bigger and this side's a little bit smaller. Oh, right, I should have done those on a new layer, but oh well. And then here we are where this guy's going to have a stem. It's going to have one of these. Notice how I went around this piece, right? And didn't bring it through the exact same area. And also notice how I'm not tracing this one as quite as religiously as the last one, so that these guys do end up looking slightly different. Right? I'm going to make this one a little bit taller, actually. There we go. This one's going to come in a little bit more than the last one. And then we're going to have this one loop. No, I don't like that. It's going to come in like that. There we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's the 6th leaf on you, buddy? I'm not sure. So things to consider, we've got this gap here that I'm not entirely certain I like, right? So there's things you can do like twisting this guy and sticking him, more like right in there, right? I think I am gonna do that. And so what that means is now I'm gonna duplicate him just in case I don't like that choice. But now we're gonna erase this out because it's got to go behind that thing. Why? Because I said so. But you'll see in a second, we don't want it in front of this cute little accentuation flower, right? So there that goes in front there. I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate this guy just in case I don't like my life choices. Erase that, and then we're gonna get rid of this thing here. And then, oh wait, on you as well. That little piece there. Then on this guy's facing this way. Yep, so then duplicate him. Get rid of this. And there we are. Now that's a little just more nestled together, whatever we want to call that. All right, now we're going to start getting these not lily at all flowers in. Or leaves. All right, we got to get our neo-traditional leaves in now. I don't like that weird tip. I want to go straight thin like that, yeah. More extreme. Yep, I like that better. Is that what I did wrong there? Did I flip that upside down over all these times? And that's the upper part and that's the lower part and that's why that doesn't look right? I'm pretty sure that's exactly what I just did. Yeah, exactly. So this is the upper part. That's the lower part. Yeah. Okay. That's why I messed that up. Got it. Oh, all the things to pay attention to, ladies and gentlemen. Especially when you're doing a video and everybody gets to see you mess up in real time. It's everybody's favorite. Okay, on to the last little part here. We're gonna go ahead and throw a classic tattoo vine in. Boom. Okay, let me start cleaning things up a little. Gonna go ahead and duplicate this guy so that I can start erasing out areas where it's overlapping. Yeah, I kind of like that. Awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and just be brave and smush this all down. Pow. Go ahead and delete you, why not? Actually, we want to move this below because this is going to be our blacks layer. Yep, I like that. Cool. What? No. I've got a poo. You need to go away. Where are you, layer? Where is that layer? Did I already smush that down? Oh no. I did already smush it down. Oh well. So as you can see, there's these super light circles in there from where I had the reference, and apparently I already ruined my life and stuck those into this black layer, this outline layer, because I wasn't paying attention. So pay attention, folks. Doesn't really do any good to have everything on separate layers if you're just going to smush it all down onto one layer like a ham-handed. Yeah, so attention to details, y'all. All right, there we are. Let's move on to our black shading. Well, hey, it's only going to be black shading, right? I'm not doing color. Ah, why? Life is so hard. Okay. Right, as always, I am going to now take this layer and turn it into my reference layer. Bring back that empty layer for shading. Go to my airbrushing tool. Yeah, that about right. And then go for automatic. Actually, am I? Yeah, I think I am because so a lot of times we'll do these like pure black, right? But I'm gonna give them just a little bit. Wait a sec, what are you doing to me? Oh, fine. So my threshold's on too high. So I got to turn my threshold down to like 48%. Let's see. And a little bit high. Oh, can I not? Okay, we'll see about that. We'll see how that goes. I'm not sure I'm going to like this choice, but I'm going to go ahead and fill this behind stuff in black. Yep, we're going to call that good because when I go back to these guys, I'm going to have them look like that. So that that big poofy part of the curve is accentuated there. And that way, just like you saw there, the little bits of those guys are going to hide into the blackness, right? And they're going to be popping out of the nothing. Sorry, nobody watches the Neverending Story anymore. I'll be quiet. And when we're doing these, we want to make sure that we're keeping these angles correct so that the shine is perpendicular to the angle that the leaf is on. Oh, see, I don't want to do that because that goes into black. So this one is going to break our rule and just get one of these. We'll see if that totally messes our entire life up or not. Right, because I might just have both of those do that and this one do that on the top here. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. We'll see or not. Perpendicular, perpendicular. I don't like how hard that one came out. Softer. There we are, much better. Okay, cool. So those are good. That's good. And this is where we have to make choices about. Some people would choose to. Ooh, yeah, boo. Right. I'm going to go new layer because I'm not sure I'm going to like this choice. Some people would give it one of these. We'll leave that for now and we'll turn it off and on and see what we think about that. But that's a pretty classic tattoo thing to do, is just kind of give it a nice little dark layer around the whole outside of that to house these flowers in nice and pretty. Gonna go for a whole new shading layer. Yep, another one here. Last one up here. Q. Then we're gonna make all of these guys, whoops, all of these guys relatively dark. Exactly. And these guys relatively dark. Cool. And then we're going to make the lilies relatively light in their petals. And notice how this area I didn't shade, so it stands out from these in here. And then we still get it to be the same thing, but it kind of looks nice, right? To have that opposite shading going. So now I am going to erase out some highlights, especially in the, yeah, we use technical pen, why not, right? A little bit smaller. Because this is black and gray illustrative. This is not something you would necessarily do in an actual like black, well, this is absolutely not something you would do in a black and gray realism piece, right? Black and gray illustrative is absolutely cartoony, but it looks really nice. So it's kind of that in between cartoon and reality, where you use reality, but you still give a lot of the more cartoon or illustrative treatments, right? You know, we could even do something in here where you like added fun little highlights that disappeared, right? That would look really nice. All right, folks, I think that is it. That is my black and gray illustrative lily tattoo that's going to go right on that forearm to elbow dip, right? Your elbow is going to be right in this crease here. Whoops. In this crease here. Yeah, right in there, right? So that's what we're going to want to see for a tattoo like that. And so, yeah, hopefully that made sense to you folks. I'm not going to worry about putting a skin colored background on this because I think it looks pretty good as it is. It just kind of communicates what we want to do. Like, comment, subscribe. Please do comment, especially because I like to know what you guys thought of this piece, if it helped out at all, if it makes sense how you would tattoo this kind of piece, right? Where you would actually go from these edges here and whip out really, really tiny things. Also, like that's the sort of thing where you would practice your stipple shading with those sorts of things, or, you know, your actual black and gray little tiny circles with your dilutions, you know, with your gray washes. So there's a bunch of different techniques that one could use to implement this tattoo. I mean, my two favorite are gray wash or stipple, but that's going to be up to you. Um, yeah, so let me know what you think. Let me know if this helped, folks. And if you guys like this, we'll do more black and gray illustrative tutorials in the future. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys later.